Okay. Ugh. Get rid of that. And... oh, wait, actually. We're good, we're good, we're good, we're good. Are we good? I think we're good. Okay. I suck at reading. So this is gonna be so much fun, because this is all like, this is like a visual novel type game. It's super cool though. I'm not so good at reading. Especially live. Okay, or out loud. Not just live, out loud. No. Really cool game. Oh, oops. I didn't mean to do that. Backlog. The wind clawed at my window all night long. It wandered the fields and howled like a beast. An endless song weaved from all sorts of voices, shrill, gentle, sneery, twined in the wind. Oh! I exited! Okay. They were shouting and laughing, and arguing about something. Someone was running through the snow while casting long shadows that would occasionally creep close to my bed. Our house had a mind of its own, a creaky old mind of a building that had seen a lot in its days and was seemingly trying to share its wisdom with the inhabitants. The lonely house faced the forest, and the dark green thicket gazed back into its hollow eyes, rustling, whistling, whizzing, swaying back and forth. Fuzzy silhouettes swaying in the wind couldn't possibly do any harm. It's just a play of light and shadow. Just a play. I knew it was just my imagination. I was already 12 after all. Still. Oh, a fox! Episode 1, The Owl Will Arrive. Oh, I have to click. Okay. I thought it was just gonna load.
Убери книгу немедленно.
Hey, put away your book.
Сколько раз говорила, не читай за столом, вредно. Сидишь, сутулился весь.
I don't remember there being voices last time I went out. There wasn't voices in the demo. How many times have I told you not to read at the table? It's bad for your health. Look how slouched you are. So let's see if I can... Are there options for... No. I don't think there's any options. Change the audio to English. Let's turn down the audio. No. Reset. How many times have I... Oh, look how slouched you are. Right. I didn't protest, and I put the book of Conan the Barbarian aside. I was stuck on a line and I couldn't understand after reading it 3 times anyways. Alia had finished her breakfast and was munching on some cookies. She was so enthusiastic she almost looked like a typical girl from the commercials.
Пока не съешь, из-за стола не встанешь.
You're not going anywhere until you finish all of it. I, on the other hand, was still trying to drill a hole in the plate with my eyes, as if it would make the porridge disappear. I agree, porridge isn't very good. Hazy anxiousness welled up inside, all because of the previous sleepless night, the black forest around our house, and the gloomy wind. The longer I waited, the colder the lumpy white substance became. Ugh. Looked like a jellyfish from the Costo Odyssey. I loved that show. Costo? I have no idea. Wonder how horrifying the bottom of the ocean is. I know how horrifying the bottom of the ocean is. I've never been there, but I've heard many, many, many things, and I do not. I hate water. I hate the ocean. I don't hate water. I hate the ocean. Or how cold the Black Forest is at night. Why would you think about this? Spoon fell out of my hand. Mom showered me with a cold glare from her green eyes. What did I just say? I'll get it. I had 10 seconds to catch my breath before battling the nasty porridge again. I felt around for the spoon. What's this carved on the other side of the table? How do you know? Ah, that's my mom's name. I guess she carved it out with something pointy when she was little. She sure was a rascal damaging the furniture like that. She would scold me for a week if I did something similar, though. Should I remind her about it? No, she's been in a bad mood lately. I imagine her being my age sitting under this table. I wonder, was Mom afraid of the dark back then? You got weird thoughts, child. This child is like a mini psychopath in the making. Or the sounds coming from the attic? Or the thick forest? Stop talking about the forest! Imagine my grandma coming into my little mom's room, sitting on the edge of the bed where Oya sleeps nowadays, and saying in her soft, smooth voice, Ayaka is a special place, little girl. Watching you closely, sniffing you out, trying to discern what kind of beast you are. You're a good sort. It won't abandon you in times of trouble. But if you're a bad apple, it'll grab you by the side and drag you under the ground. Why would you tell this to a child? And that would be it. Grandma was caring. She never fought with anyone, never yelled, yet never swore. Those were the times when maddening screams until late. Without the maddening screams until late at night, without smashing dishes and mutual accusations. Our parents used to love each other back then. I remember listening in on one of their conversations by chance. They were talking about Aunt and Grandma getting prepared for her funeral. Tiara had already bought a casket. She called it her cute funeral box. It waited for its time in the closet patiently. Ugh. It was black, upholstered with meat-colored material on the inside. I saw it when my grandma was getting buried. Oh, this is so dark. House didn't change since the time she was alive. Only all the photos are gone. Glass-covered pictures with gray faces of my ancestors. They all had a dead but watchful look in their eyes. Crawled out from under the table. Oya was done with her cookies and was looking at my share like a sly woodland creature. Turned my gaze towards the frosted window. There was a lot of dark pines outside, but they didn't grab my attention. The pattern of the frost formed a picture on the glass.
Оля, гляди, лиса!
Oh yeah, look, it's a fox.
Где?
Where? It looked almost like one of those optical illusion thingies that they put in the back of the student notebooks. Mixture of lines at first glance, but if you blur your vision a little bit, and look under a certain angle.
Да не на улице, на стекле.
Not outside, on the window.
Смотри, вот нос, вот.
Look, here's the nose, and here's... Hey, heat up.
Да, да, сейчас.
Yes, just a moment.
Я ничего не вижу.
I don't see anything.
Живо. Совсем немного
Hurry
осталось.
up, there's not much left. There we go.
А, вот.
Ah, there it is. But it still doesn't look like
А
one.
я говорю,
I'm telling you, it does. Keep pressing buttons randomly.
не-а,
Nuh-uh.
похоже.
It does.
Прекратите!
Stop
Ну
it.
что
These
за дети?
kids, I swear. No, I couldn't see the fox either. Disappeared. Went away. Only the frost pattern, similar to stretched out. Oops. My dad entered the kitchen with long, measured steps. I wanted to have a beard like his when I grow up. Mom would always ask jokingly, "Come on, shave it off, it stings." This was so long ago. Nowadays, rumbling doors and witty comebacks were all an everyday occurrence. Oya always covers her ears whenever she hears something like, "What's the point of all this?" through the wall. "It's all for your sake," Dad would reply. "For the sake of our family." I always caught every sound in fear of hearing the most dreaded, the deadliest word that started with a D. D-I-V-O. I don't even want to finish it. It's scary to imagine that me and my little sister would be torn apart and taken into two different families.
Да что твоя лиса? Вот у меня
Anyway, your
нет.
fox is nothing. I have an owl on my window.
Опять ты со своей.
You and your owl talk again.
Ты же вчера мне
You said you believed me just yesterday.
Никто ключи от
Anyone
машины
seen
не
my
видел?
car's keys?
Вроде оставлял на подоконнике.
I remember leaving them on the windowsill. Right.
Вроде оставлял, вроде нет.
Maybe you did, and maybe not.
Вроде взрослый мужчина.
You're a grown man, a father of two, and
Перестань,
still...
пожалуйста, Карина.
Karina, please
Дай
stop.
мне спокойно собраться.
Let me get ready in peace.
В корзине твои ключи.
Your keys
Возле
are in the
телефона.
basket near the phone.
Огромное тебе
Oh,
человеческое
thank you
спасибо.
very much.
Антон, ешь быстрее, а то как мученик сидишь.
Anton, stop making a tree out of yourself and finish eating already. What is that?
А сова
What the owl?
Не было там
There
никакой
was no
совы.
owl.
была.
But there was one.
Глазюки
It had
огромные.
giant glowing eyes. Oya sprung up from the chair and placed her hands on her little face, imitating a pair of eyes with her fingers, the size of an apple each.
В прошлом году Бабай в шкафу.
Last year you had
Сейчас
Baba in
сова.
your closet, and now this owl?
Ну я же
But,
видела.
but I saw it. Oya shifted her gaze back and forth between Dad to me to Mom. I said that backwards, but couldn't find any support.
А ты не думала подружиться с
We
ней?
thought about befriending it.
Вымышленными.
You know,
мыслями
like
покормить,
feeding it with
например.
imaginary mice.
Не подначивай ребенка.
Don't bully our girl.
Просто мала еще.
She's just afraid to sleep alone because she's still little. Oya pouted her lips in rebellion and rushed into the hallway. The staircase that led to the second floor creaked. My mom gave Dad a strict look. Oh, that look in her eyes, so uncomfortably pinned under it. I agree. Dad just snorted in reply and left, bringing the keys he just found. A minute had passed and the theme song of The Little Mermaid echoed through the house. It was stored on an incredibly worn cassette tape which Dad had already glued together once. It's so easy to fix objects by gluing them back together, for example. How do you fix a relationship? Mom moved to the living room and I was left alone, anxiously stealing glances at the window. Oya had trouble sleeping ever since we moved into this house. She would toss and turn and curl up into a ball under her blanket. Sometimes she would jump in the middle of the night and turn on the VCR. Cartoons helped her take her mind off of all the troubles we had with the move and our parents. And then Oya said that she saw a giant flying monster outside her window. She became obsessed with it. Our parents did everything in their power. They even tried every little trick to get rid of those ridiculous fears. Oya refused to sleep alone and didn't believe that the owl was just one of her nightmares. After last night, I was unsure what to make of my sister's words. what to think of it myself. Can nightmares be infectious? That night, I couldn't get a wink of sleep and ended up thinking of what to expect from my new school. There are a couple days left before the beginning of a new term. My imagination grew and drew long, twisting hallways that led classrooms full of kids. But all the students behind their desks were simply dark figures cut out using a template. Circular holes gaped in the middle of their faces, and a pair of eyes blinked inside those holes. It was as if some completely different creatures were looking at me from behind flat, black silhouettes. Their cruel glares, filled with icy snares, made me shiver from head to toe. Will I survive here? They won't gang up on me and beat me down, stomp me with their blooded shoes. The damned school can burn for all I care. I just wished for anything to happen to it. Doesn't really matter what. I didn't want to go there that badly. I didn't want to see the people who were just itching to smack me on the head trip me up, think of a new offensive name for me worse than the previous one. Felt the glasses I wore made me an outsider, or some sort of monster. My gaze slid across the drawings hanging on the walls. I couldn't consider myself a great artist, but Oya begged me to hang them. Drawing was the only thing that made me happy as of late. The small circle of friends I had also enjoyed my paintings, and they promised to call me from time to time. Sometimes I imagine my mom picking up the phone and saying in a cold voice, "You got the wrong number," or Anton's not around. Anton's not around. I imagine my future classmates laying in their beds just like me, listening to the howls of the invisible werewolves outside of their windows. Maybe my new classmates will like me after all. But who would ever like a boy with thick glasses? I mean, my dad used to wear glasses when he was little, and now he's married to the most beautiful woman on the planet, my mom. House creaked, pressed by the wind. The condo we lived in, a 9-floor concrete building, buzzed with the neighbor's drill, mumbled with a TV set from behind the wall, cried like a baby hanging from a big family next door. Our current house, though I can't really call it new, was completely different. It was silent, easygoing during the day. Its shadows lay dormant in the corners, on the closet cobwebs, and under the stairs. But they all woke up during the night. Something was watching me from every corner, almost as if the old photos of my deceased family with their ashen eyes were hanging on the walls in place of my drawings. The floor was creaking, rusty drains were moaning, the attic was occupied by noisy drafts. One could think the house was performing some kind of demonic melody. And then I realized I was, in fact, hearing music. It was already playing for a good while. Somewhere at the edge of my perception, I could hear a flute. It was mixed with the sound of the wind and the creaking of the old house. And my thoughts, too. Oh! I missed that one. Not like someone is playing it there amidst the cold, snowy night, right? Oh, I missed too. I stood up and rushed to the window. I wanted to reassure myself that the music was nothing more than a product of my imagination. It's not like someone is playing it there amidst the cold, snowy night, right? Someone was dancing in the field. Black silhouettes I could barely make out with a dark forest as their backdrop. They jumped around, basked in the moonlight, bumped into piles of snow, rolled around, and crawled all fours. Stories about wolves playing under the moon came to mind, but these were clearly not wolves. Yeah, that one looks like a bear. That's a bird. A fox and a wolf? I don't know what that's supposed to be. I think that's the one playing the flute. They stood upright at times, circled around the building, holding hands and whipping up snow, disappearing into the shadows for a brief moment and then coming back. Bizarre was going on. Shadows dancing in the starless abyss made my imagination go wild, making me anxious at the same time. Suddenly, the music had stopped. The dancing shadows froze in place, and I could swear pierced me with their eyes. One of the silhouettes immediately departed from the bizarre shadow carnival and sprinted across the field with giant leaps. Glided on the squeaky snow without leaving any prints until it was devoured by the pitch black shadow of my house, which became even darker and thicker. My heart was jumping around like a bird inside a cage. I shut the curtains with a swift motion and stepped back towards the house. They saw me. A freezing torrent of fear washed over me. I stood in the middle of the perfectly dark room and listened to some unwanted guest move and scurried around, looking for an entrance. The sound moved to the right, then circled around the house. Now my guest should be at the front door. I jumped into bed and covered myself with the blankets as if it could protect me. The shackles of fear locked my muscles. I remembered the funeral, my grandma lying there, hands crossed on her chest, her facial features sharp like that of a tin doll. Ants running up and down the legs of chairs that held my grandma's casket. I imagined those little creatures climbing up her head and pulling her eyelids with their tiny legs. Then her wrinkly eyeballs would once again move inside the sockets and she'd be able to see her grandchildren. That's so terrifying! Oh dear lord. I was chanting the spells she taught me throughout the whole procedure. And now lying under the blanket and listening to the squeaks and howls, I was repeating those same words. Island of Buyan, underneath the blemished sun, in the sea of color blue, strands a cabin made of wood. There lay lard and ashen hair for spawn from the devil's lair to feast, and always leave alone God's faithful servant named Anton. Evil leave this house must. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Bizarre sounds had disappeared. I cautiously peeked out from under the blanket and saw the curtains were waving around like a hangman. And then, night doused me with a new portion of boiling terror. The sound scratched at my eardrums. In reality, something or someone was scratching at the front door, hurriedly clawed at wood, demanded to be let in. The door was shut. Dad had become very cautious recently, so he installed a sturdy lock. I remember him staring at the forest intently, as if he was looking for someone. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. I hugged my knees and placed my chin between them, and I drilled the door with my eyes. It was so flimsy and weak before the might of darkness. And then, the doorknob twitched slightly, and then turned halfway once, twice, as if the person who tried to enter had no hands. The doorknob tilted once more, and then started clicking violently. My jaw cramped from fear, my fingers wet from clutching the blanket. The door creaked and opened. The wind taunted me, moaning inside the tin drains. Now, you'll see. The door was wide open. The darkness withered inside the carnivorous mouth of a doorway. Oh, God. It was as if the night itself was calling out to me, flapping its black wings and squeaking with rusty hinges. I was trembling, ensnared by the web of darkness that hung in the corners of my room. waiting for the one who leafed it to come out of the gaping black hole. My abdomen tightened and my chest rose up, ready to exhale the desperate scream. But before I was able to do anything, the darkness asked me.
Тоша.
Sister's pale face protruded from the thick shadows. I almost screamed from relief.
Я не сплю. Что случилось?
Ola, I'm not sleeping. Did something happen? Olia frowned and stuck out her lower lip, a clear sign that she was about to cry.
Оно опять прилетело и пялится.
It's there again. It's staring at me.
Прогони
Shoo
её.
her away, Toysha, please.
Пожалуйста. Я так
I'm
боюсь.
too scared. The fear that was tormenting me just a minute ago crawled away and hid somewhere in my stomach. I needed to calm Olia down.
Это был сон, глупая. Не пугайся. Сны не кусаются. Никто тебя не обидит.
It's a dream, silly. Don't be scared. Dreams don't bite. No one's going to harm you. Olia sobbed. She was trying her best to believe me. But was I sure of
У меня есть
myself?
идея.
I have an idea.
Пойдем к тебе в комнату.
Let's go to your room and watch TV and watch the video Sleeping Beauty, for example.
Тебе же нравится этот мультик?
You like that cartoon, don't you?
Почему спящий красавец?
Why does the Sleeping Beauty and have a prince and I have a scary bird? This question took me by surprise.
Ладно, давай посмотрим зон.
Alright, let's watch Cinderella. My thoughts became tangled, fuzzy. What was that? What studied me with eyes that were dancing fiercely under the moon? The darkness was clinging to the window and couldn't be fooled by Grandma's old chants. I couldn't be satisfied with a feast of lard and long ashen hair.
Тоша, ты идешь?
Да, сейчас.
That was cheap. I didn't want to laugh at Oya at her owl this morning. Ding dong! You could be visiting us here in the middle of nowhere. You don't know anyone around here. So persistent. I felt extremely unsettled from just a silly thought of our morning guest could have come from the woods. I could barely hear the voices coming from the front door. My mind was urging me to hide. In the closet, under the table, behind the curtains where Oya always hides.
Тоша, подойди-ка сюда.
I felt like kettlebells were tied to my feet, but still dragged them towards the hallway. A couple of policemen towered over me in the doorway. They smelled like frost and worry. My mom always winced and grumbled at the moment she saw patrol cars, worse than bandits. At that moment, she looked somewhat confused.
Здравствуйте.
Senior officer who wore a grim expression nodded.
Тут мальчик вчера потерялся. Вовой зовут. Глянь, пожалуйста. Ты его не видел?
Oh, cute cat. There was a ginger boy around the age of elementary school, pictured with a wall carpet as the backdrop. He had a striped cat in his hands and wore a smile, a wide smile.
Нет.
No, I haven't.
Точно?
Are you
Посмотри
sure?
внимательно.
Look closely.
Где мне его видеть? Я тут
Where would I see him? I don't know anyone around here. I barely leave the house.
А может, видел в окно?
Well, maybe you've seen him from the window?
Да. У тебя ведь окна,
That's
знаешь?
right, your window looks straight at the forest, don't they? Window.
Нет, не видел.
No, I haven't seen anything.
Ясно.
I see. Kinda tired, but his eyes, his stare, long and heavy, was full of suspicion. I squirmed unwittingly under the weight of guilt, which his giant shadow cast over me. The policeman finally tore his eyes from me and glanced over the hallway. The stairway and cracks in the ceiling, which I haven't noticed before for some
Вы,
reason.
кстати, как на новом месте?
You like your new place, by the way?
Попривыкли уже?
Getting used to it?
Понемногу. Только вот
Bit by
дочка
bit,
маленькая
it's just
по
our
городу
little
скучает.
daughter misses the city a lot.
Скучает, значит.
This is the
Из
city,
местных
huh?
вас никто не
Have the locals been
беспокоит?
treating you well?
Все хорошо, спасибо.
Yes, everything's alright, thank you. Policeman pierced through me once more with his brown eyes. My heart started
Может,
spinning.
вам помочь как-то?
Can I help you somehow? I asked in that shaky voice to look like a polite boy and end this unpleasant conversation sooner.
Я вот стою и думаю.
No. Now that I think
Ты
about it,
малец на племеша
you
моего
look just
похож.
like one of my nephew's little fella.
Шустрый парнишка твоих
He's a
лет.
witty boy
С
around your
такими же
age, wears the
окулярами.
same type
Всё
of
книжками
goggles.
зачитывается. Детективами.
Always engrossed in reading those mystery
Когда летом
novels.
погостить приезжал,
Today he
говорит,
wants to
что в школу
enroll.
милиции мечтает поступить.
Today, what? Told me he wants to enroll in police school when his family visited this
Как
summer.
я. Хотел
Wanted to
людям
help
помочь.
others just like me. See,
Смекаешь?
felt uncomfortable as a distant relative and not a police officer stood before me.
Ох, ребятушки.
You know what?
Сидите-ка вы лучше
Little
дома.
boys like you should stay at home, steer away from trouble. And times have
Жизнь
changed.
сейчас
The times have
совсем
changed so
другая
much.
пошла.
Mom interjected in a cold voice.
Мне ли не знать?
You don't say.
Ну да ладно.
Well
Ты,
then.
Антон, в каком
What
классе?
grade are you in, Anton?
Что?
6.
Друзей-то на новом месте
Have you made
ещё не
any friends
завел?
here so far?
Пока нет.
Тогда
Not.
вот вам
Oh. Oh, I skipped a lot. Not yet. I'll be going to school for the first time after the break. I'll leave you with my number just in case. Call me if you have any new info. Policemen were gone with their long shadows and cheap cologne and the smell of cheap cologne and the photo of the smiling boy. His face still stood before my eyes. I wondered what it was like for him to be all alone there. For some reason, I thought of the forest swaying in the wind. What did his poor parents feel? And what would my parents do if I had gone missing? Would they cry and thrash around hysterically? Or would they accuse each other just like they always do and forget about me eventually?
Мам, а Вова этот в нашем лесу заблудился?
This Volva, did he go missing in our forest?
Выходит, что так.
Seems like it, poor child. Looked at the window at the road. The police UAZ drove off towards the village. Oh, sorry. UAZ, Soviet Russian off-road freight passenger brand, which was produced in Yolonovsk car factory. Yolonovsk. Ah. I need water. Do I have water? I have water. Still old water, but whatever. Water is water. The officer's nephew came to mind, and when I was splitting off the paint from the windowsill. I remember the teenage mystery novels, the Black Kitty series that I read this summer. A series of contemporary Russian original or translated teen mystery books. Your average boys and girls investigated all sorts of mysteries there. They looked for clues, spied on suspicious people, and after a set of amazing adventures, bam, solved any complicated case. And local celebrities and must have made their parents very proud. I noticed a trail of policemen's footprints that led into the forest. And then it clicked in my head. Why don't I start an investigation of my own? Oh, God, no. Children. No. Maybe I'll find that last boy. I'll get a reward. Olya will be so happy. And not only Olya, Mom and Dad too. Maybe they'll even forget about their quarrels for a while. Maybe I'll even save us from the D word. I fantasized about buying Olya Tamagotchi and getting a cassette player and a bunch of tapes for myself. And a whole a box of Kinder Surprise. Oh my god, I would love a whole box of Kinder Surprise. It's my favorite chocolate. It's like the only chocolate I eat. When was the last time our parents bought us any toys? Last autumn, I think. Dad had lost his job at the time. There was an annoying song about it. Wait. Accountant. Sung by an all-female Soviet pop band called Kombination. Combination. It became wildly popular in the early 90s. I had little to no idea what the accountant's job was like. They count money, I think? That's not what an accountant is. Oh, there was a song about being an accountant. Hi. Nowadays, Mom and Dad barely had money to afford sweets, and Dad would always divide a single chocolate bar between me and Olya. Sometimes I gave her my share too. No matter how much I wanted to eat sweets, she was still just a pipsqueak. I couldn't wait to go out looking for clues. Going outside.
Ага, сейчас.
Yeah, right.
Чтобы потом милиционеры...
You want the police to go around with your photograph next?
Лес вон какой густой.
Forest is so
А
thick.
если мальчика звери
What if the
дикие
boy got
утащили?
snatched
Или
up by
того
wild
хуже?
animals or something even worse? Even worse echoed in the hallway.
Я рядом буду.
Don't go far, I'll stay away from the
Что
forest.
я тебе сказала?
Did you hear what I said, or should I repeat myself?
Лучше портфель собери или соли поиграй.
Better go pack your school bag or play with Olya. The splashing water came from the kitchen. It meant the argument was over and Mom had the last word. Dark, stuffy closet. Mom says it smells like mice, but how does she know their smell? She hates when I stick my nose in there. She's afraid I'll cut myself on the freshly sharpened axe. And Olya can't even be lured close to it. She thinks Baba is living in there. I tried to help her fight her fears once. I opened the door and turned on the dim light so she would see that there's nothing but cobwebs, Dad's tools, and scratched walls. She still didn't believe me. And I liked to hide in the closet and listen to Olya count outside. 1, 2, 3, better hide from me. And then drag her feet across the creaking floorboards, hoping that she wouldn't need to look for me in the cramped monster's den. Up. Grandma kept ice cream for me and Olya in there, but now all I could see was meat bits for soup and clumped together polemi. I grew to hate them already. A Russian variety of dumplings made by boiling unleavened dough filled with mincemeat. One may even call it Russian fast food. Huh. It was difficult to lie to Mom, but there was no other way for me to run away from home. Mom, something's wrong with the TV. Pictures are dim and there's stripes all over the screen. Mom's face became visibly distorted. Ah, you're killing me here. So you had enough of the shooting those stupid ducks now? I told you the kinescope will go dim because of your console. Where will we find a TV technician in this hole, huh? Maybe it's just the settings? Please go see for yourself. Strange. It worked fine this morning. Maybe the snowfall caused it? Mom rubbed her hands on her clean apron and went to Olya's room. Oh, I guess we're sneaking out. I opened the gate and went into the field. Here, I keep pressing the pause button, carefully so Mom wouldn't see me from the window. When I crossed half of the distance towards the forest, the snow piles became as high as my knees. I remembered my nightly fears. I saw those silhouettes around here. They were jumping around, holding hands. The hypnotizing music started playing in my head all on its own. In the light of day, those distant figures felt like a simple dream. The sun turned my nightmares to ash, but the aftertaste was still there, distant ringing in my ears, distorted shadows crawling on the snow alongside me. A barely audible whisper in my head, blurry and almost kind. Everything was silent. So silent, it felt like the world was totally empty. No ground, no sky, no parents, no Olia. Time reached its limit, a one-way trip that ended at the forest's piney stock guide. Sometimes silence was much scarier than any scream. Our parents would scream at each other while arguing, and both me and Olia turned to stone, listening to them. Then always came the ringing silence. Our apartment became a numb couple of days before we departed. It was hard to remember the last time Mom and Dad joked around, laughing, or spent time together. Almost like all of it was a previous life. When I kissed with Oil present, she always frowned and snorted in a funny way. One day it all changed. Something important had left our home, and something scary filled the remaining void. It was as if fire broke out and our parents were hurriedly packing our belongings, trying to save themselves and us. From who, though? From the people with dead cold eyes, or someone who sometimes visited us in our previous home? Huh? The eyes that only saw balls of worms on the black ground and everything? Somewhere far away, a siren was going off, trying to warn us of the coming menace. I shuddered, chasing away my delusions, and looked around. There was only me, a white field, and the wind that was whipping up icy dust and belts of powdered snow. I squinted from the sun and turned my eyes to the sunless forest. It looked especially dark in contrast to the blinding whiteness. Knobbly tree roots slithered under the snow like fat snakes. Rotten leaves and carnivorous needles froze to the ice. Dry, prickly branches intertwined, bringing up uncomfortable thoughts about fences. Were they protecting the forest? Or were they keeping something from breaking out? Some object was hanging from a point in one of the pointy branches. I tried to get closer, drowning in the snow. When I almost came to the edge of the forest, I saw a knitted mitten. I looked like a wounded bird among the hungering semi-dark. Did I take it to the police? The senior officer looked gloomy, but he still reminded me of Captain Casanova from my favorite TV show called The Streets of Broken Lights. A Russian mystery TV series telling a story of the daily lives of Russian police officers. The longest running series in the history of Russian TV at the moment. Huh. He was also also always anxious with a tired look in his eyes, but still brave and strong. Will this mitten help them find the lost boy? Vova! I heard the distant shout. It looked like it came from the river. Vova! As if the trees were calling out to someone. Is it your mom getting mad at you for leaving? Or are you just hearing things? Because I used to hear my name. Actually, I still always hear. I always hear my name all the time behind me, and like no one is there calling for me. And I'll like open my door and ask my roommates if they call me, and they're like, "No, you freaking idiot! We don't call you." Ova! Resounded closer to me. Someone was standing there behind the trees, hiding. Ova! Oh, yeah, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. His name isn't Volva. The other kid's name is Volva. The people calling out Volva are the police officers looking for him. I knew someone was looking for the lost boy, but still. Something was unsettling about that figure. What? What figure? Its stillness, how it bent unnaturally towards the ground. Where? Its blackness. No one's there, just branches and roots. All just my imagination. Nearby a bird flapped its wings loudly. A shadow sprint from the tree and behind my... disappeared from my sight. Ugh. I looked away for just a moment. When I turned my gaze back to the same place, it was gone. So it was my imagination after all. Silence reigned for a painfully long time. Nervous. Why is there footsteps? My muscles were tight sprung. My heart was beating somewhere in my throat. Any noise, any little movement, any whisper from the thicket, and I'd sprint. But nothing of the sort happened. I looked at the mitten once more. We're gonna take it. I decided to take the lonely mitten from the branch. Ova! A shout rumbled across the field and dissolved into the distance. No echo, no hope for a reply. Oh my god. Wait, am I supposed to... I stepped towards the trees, briefly trying to claim my find. It didn't budge. I pulled harder, the branch cracked and the mitten tore off, landing in my hand with a squishy sound. All too heavy, wet. I squeezed it without thinking and something dark spilled from it, forming a tiny string between the mitten and the snow. Steam rose from the snow pile. Froze in place, studying my palms in disgust. Red. Sound of cracking branches invaded the silence. I didn't have to think twice before running away. Someone was chasing me from the darkness, breaking pine branches, slowly closing the distance with giant leaps. Snow was slowing me down. Crazy thoughts flew through my mind. I'll get caught. They'll get me. I'll get dragged into the thicket. I'll be gone forever. But there was one more voice, probably one of reason. It gave me strength, spurred me on. You do it, don't stop. I heard an animal roar behind me. It was also loud and my ears went numb. It felt like the sound had come from a pack of hungry beasts rather than a single one. The nostrils sucked in freezing air. They sensed my fear. Two giant wings flapped above my head. An enormous shadow flew over the clearing, a hoot, a wheeze. The roars coming from all directions now. From the dried up raspberry bush, from twisted pines, from under the windfall. Hurry, run, don't look back. It felt like I was inside a nightmare. A snowy clearing with became vicious like quicksand. I was stuck in place. I pulled from my leg under the mushy trap just to be caught in a new one. Even deeper than before, I continued to drown, sinking deeper and deeper into a desperate push. Was the snow ever this sticky? I screamed in horror after realizing it wasn't snow. Someone or something in the snow pile was clutching my pants. I gathered all my strength and rushed forward. The pressure on my leg was gone, my boots slipped out of the hole, and my soles were on the hard surface again. I reached the clear path with one jump, and from there I ran to my house. The gloomy facade didn't look threatening now. The house was my line of defense from the shadows that flapped their wings and the creatures that were hidden in the snow. I tripped over the doorstep and slammed the door, smashed into the door. In all my hurry, I still managed to notice the claw marks, as if a dog was striking the wood with its paws, demanding to be let in so it could escape the cold. I hadn't noticed these marks when I was leaving. The heartbeat in my ears was much louder than my surroundings. I couldn't hear whether someone was following me or not. What if they were already in the front yard and Mom had locked the door? Drowning in fear, I pulled the knob and it obediently gave way. I rolled into the hallway and shut the door behind me. Porch planks creaked under my pursuers as my pursuers ascended the stairs. My fingers slipped off the lock and I couldn't click into place. I gritted my teeth and pulled hard on the iron knob, whipping it between the boards. I stared blankly at the door. Someone was standing on the other side of the pitiful, flimsy barrier that was probably less useful than blankets. Wheezing breath reached into the house and crashed into me in waves. Drink some more water. Smell of pine and sweat. Mom peeked out from the kitchen and chastised me with the same frigid voice she always used when talking to Dad. What exactly didn't you understand when I told you never to slam the door?
Я случайно.
I didn't mean to. I snuck a glance at the door. The smell was gone and breath was too. If there was someone in the first place, of course. Here, mere 5 meters away from my mom, my fear was slowly weakening, melting like snow in the spring. And with it, the last bit of strength I had left in my body, too. My legs gave way. I propped myself against the wall so I wouldn't fall over. Mom's expression had changed immediately. The cold mask of strictness and detachment was gone. Mom looked the same as she was before all those quarrels. I finally saw my condition, my wet pants plastered with snow. Where have you been? What did I tell you, huh? I told you to stay home. Am I nothing to you? I got afraid she would cry. I reached out to her like when I was very little and wanted her to cuddle me. But Mom reined her composure fast and put on her usual face. Her eyes shined like steel, her voice rang out. Your dad can't find his cigarettes. Be honest, did you snatch them? Were you smoking in secret? There was someone chasing me. I stuttered as soon as I explained myself. Tears welled up in my eyes. Mom leaned towards me and sniffed my clothes like a beast, searching for some smell of tobacco. Then she squinted her eyes in suspicion and looked into the front yard. Her expression changed in an instant and she covered her mouth with her hand. Look, over there at the fence. My heart started thumping as if I became prey once again. My pursuers were following me in the field. I could swear that I could hear something scratch at the door, just like in my nightmare. Mom beckoned me with her finger and I gathered all my remaining bravery to look into the kitchen window, facing my fear. I could barely discern some hairy silhouettes swimming in the snow through the icy winter patterns on the glass. Dogs! Just a small pack of strays with no name and owner, barely reminding them of the hungry monsters that lived on the edge of the forest. Oh boy, were you scared of them? I think they'd rather be scared of you, Anton. They were chasing me like a bunny. And what if they're rabid? The smile had slowly disappeared from Mom's face. Now she looked at the dogs as if they were her first time seeing them. What if they attack Olya? You don't care about me, you never care about Olya. Ugh, rude.
Mom?
Mom? I wish your dad would just shoot them all. Not the puppies! How dare you?
Mama, они
Oh,
живые.
look, they're alive. Okay. Huh? What? They're your friend or foe after all. Make up your mind. Not a little kid anymore. Mom sighed in annoyance, and I felt so bitter that I bit my lower lip and fixed my gaze on the cobweb-ridden corner that just to keep myself from crying. Well, some detective I am. In reality, I wasn't risking my life among monsters, but rather my pants among a pack of stupid strays. And for what? What use do I have? What use do I have for this? Mitten. Of course. Dark and sticky mitten that belonged to the boy made a squishy sound in my hand. Seems like I was clutching it the whole time. That's my trump card as a detective. I hurried to present this clue to my mom.
Мам, смотри, это Вовина
Look,
варежка.
this is Wolfa's mitten.
Ну того, про которого утром милиция
The
спрашивала.
boy that the police were asking about in the morning.
Она вся в крови.
It's drenched in blood. I found it hanging on the
Вон
tree.
там,
I
могу
can
показать.
show where.
Давай в милицию скорее
Let's call the
позвоним.
police right
Как нас
away. The
участковый
officer
просил.
told us to.
Мам, гляди.
Mom, look.
О,
Ew. A shadow of doubt slowly crept into my mom's contorted face. As if she was trying to remember something distant. Like someone tries to remember their dream, but the image slips away.
А ну-ка прекрати сейчас же.
Stop it this moment.
Оля тебя услышит, с ума
Oya will
сойдет.
go insane if she hears you.
Она и так не спит.
Charity has trouble sleeping and whines all the
Еще и ты
time.
со своими
You
шуточками.
joke around like this. That moment I realized the mitten was actually wet from snow. There was no blood whatsoever. I wanted to sink through the floor from
Иди
embarrassment.
сюда, паникер.
Come here, my boy, who cried Wolf.
Стой столбом.
Oh, don't just stand there. Come take your pills. Oh, okay. Golden-colored pill, reminiscent of a dead wasp, fell into my palm.
Я уже пил сегодня, за завтраком.
I already took one during breakfast.
Попререкайся мне
Don't
еще.
talk over me.
Сказала дома сидеть.
I told you to
Нет,
stay home, and you...
бы отец выпорол.
Dad would have given you a good whipping for that.
Сейчас же выпей, а то ночью не уснешь.
Come on, take it,
Тебе ведь в
or you
школу
won't be
завтра.
able to sleep at night, and you have school tomorrow. So I had to swallow the bitter medicine, drinking it down with the similarly awful water that gave off the taste of chlorine. Maybe it wasn't Volva's mitten. Maybe it wasn't a mitten at all. Just like the forest monsters and Olia's owl. Am I going mad? What's happening to me? You've been drugged by your angry mother. Either the pill had an immediate effect, or my overexerted brain didn't let fear inside anymore. It's already washed over me, bringing yawny indifference along with it.
Антон, выпил?
Anton, you done?
Можешь, если захочешь.
See, you can do it when you try.
Раздевайся. Уснул, что ли?
Take off your coat. Are you asleep?
Нет, мам.
No, Mom, I was just thinking.
Интересно, о чем же?
But what, I wonder?
Так, глупости.
It's just something silly. Mom scrutinized me with her suspicious eyes. As if she wasn't sure she was looking at her own son and not some doppelganger that came from the forest.
Точно все нормально?
Is everything alright?
У тебя такое лицо было.
You had the
когда
exact
люди
same
звонят,
expression when the
радуются.
policeman asked you about the window.
Все нормально.
I'm alright, Mom. He heaved a deep sigh.
Хорошо.
Fine. It seemed like the house had changed. Sofa's fabric had become discolored. Fingerprints appeared on the bathroom tiles. The light bulbs also felt different, dimmer and yellower. Even saliva inside my mouth had a different taste. Melody from Aladdin could be heard from the upper floor. Olya was done rewatching her favorite Little Mermaid episodes and switched to the other tapes. Slowly changed into my clothes, stopped before the sink, and studied my reflection in the mirror, like I was trying to solve one of those spot the difference puzzles. Oh, more water. Ah! And I went upstairs. The far-in-law voices died down. I walked past Olya's bedroom and slipped into my own. Open up. One of the drawers was empty. I hid the mitten in there. This simple action drained the last bit of strength from me. Sat on the bed. And only then I noticed there was someone behind the curtains. My tired hand dropped to the sheets. Whether it was due to medication I took or the stress I underwent, the room began to contort, as if the wind was blowing through the walls blowing the walls out like a pair of sails. The corners of the rooms bent and undulated. Ugh. The only stable thing in the whole room was the figure between the windowsill and the curtains. A flimsy piece of cloth stuck to my hidden visitor. Reminded me of the burial sheets.
Оля,
Yeah. Who else would be standing there? I stood up and licked my dried lips.
Оля, очень смешно.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's so funny. The silhouette was unmoving. It was enveloped softly by the curtains. As if there was a thick layer of darkness there, not a human being. I reached out towards the curtains. Ba-dump, ba-dump, beat my heart, controlled by medication. The wind sang in the field of chorus of voices. For a second I wanted to return to the bed and just lie down with and watch the person behind the curtain, knowing full well they were looking back at me. They were looking without blinking, waiting for me to fall asleep. Plastic rings rustled against the holder while I opened the curtains.
Попался!
Gotcha!
Да я сразу понял, что это
I
ты.
knew it was you from the beginning. A blindingly bright halo lit up above Olya's head with the setting sun as the background. My sister was shining. She was just a baby. She always used to say she was shining with happiness. I'd always retort, but Dad, she's not some flashlight. Dad always used to say. But I brought her to the window one day, and sunlight poured on her smiling face. I felt like I was holding a light-woven child.
А я все видела.
I saw
Да
everything.
ну,
Oh, really?
Что ты спрятал?
What did you hide? She was just like my mom when she was little, before she put on her sad mask of tiredness and switched to her commanding tone of voice.
ничего, просто...
Nothing, just... Olya ran up the table, eyes round, and asked,
Ты что-то украл?
You
и
stole
теперь
something and
прячешь?
hid it in there?
Ты вор?
Are you a thief?
Что?
What? Don't be
Глупая.
stupid.
Ничего я не
I
крал.
didn't steal anything. Clear image came to mind, that mitten hanging from the tree branch. What if I did steal it after all? From the forest, from the tilted figure standing behind the black trees. Oya could be selfish and stubborn when she wanted.
Покажи тогда.
Then show me.
Поклянись, что никому не скажешь.
Sure, you won't tell anyone and I'll show you. She wore a plotted smile.
Клянусь маминым
I swear on Mom's heart. An elf she heard in one of the movies about the pioneers we've watched.
Не говори так.
Don't say things like that. Oya nodded and made a gesture with her hand, locking her mouth with an imaginary key. She was filled with curiosity that was splashing in her giant eyes. I opened the drawer and Oya leaned in, holding her breath. It looked like there was nothing but just a simple mitten. But some sort of exotic creature. Not just a simple mitten, but some sort of exotic critter.
Это чья-то...
Is this someone's mitten? Says she couldn't understand what she saw.
Мальчик потерял.
A
И
certain
сам
boy
потерял.
lost it and got lost
Теперь
himself.
понимаешь, как опасно гулять в лесу,
Now, do you
особенно
understand
детям?
how dangerous it is for kids to wander into the forest, right?
Ему, наверное, там
Must be
очень
really cold out there.
Его найдут?
Will they find him?
Обязательно.
They will.
Участковый по домам
The
ходит.
police are going house to house showing his photo to everyone. Olga traversed the room with care and pressed her tiny palms against the window.
А почему он по домам ходит?
And why are they going to the houses and not the forest?
Боится?
Are they scared? Question caught me off guard.
Милиционеры ничего не
The
боятся.
police aren't scared of anything.
И лес они прочесали.
They've already scouted the forest. Yeah, right, flashed my clouded mind. Did they really check every nook and cranny where the darkness, cold, and whispers of icy branches dwell? In that case, how did they miss the mitten? Or did it appear later for me? Topic. As if trying to get Olya out as far away from possible from the forest thicket.
Если я сам найду
You may
пропавшего
get a
мальчика,
reward if I go
вам
find the boy by
кучу
myself.
всякого, как
A lot of
в поле
stuff,
чудес.
like in the Wheels of Fortune.
Клёво же.
Sounds cool, right? Olya wasn't listening to me. She was piercing the forest with incredibly adult eyes, uncharacteristic for her.
А что, если это сова его
What if the owl
втащила?
got him?
Ерунда. Не
Nonsense.
может сова поднять
An
человека.
owl won't be able to lift a human.
Вот что.
You know what? Taking my words with utmost care, I forced them out of my overexerted brain.
Ты в лес не суйся.
Stay
Мне
away from the
кажется,
forest. I
какой-то,
think
как бы
it's...
сказать,
How should I put it? It's cursed or
Как
something.
в сказке?
Like in a fairy tale?
Нет, скорее как
No,
на той
more like in that
страшной кассете,
spooky
что
tape our
родители прячут.
parents hide from us. Olya shivered and stole a glance at the window.
Я видела, как ты убегал.
Saw you running away.
За тобой кто-то гнался?
Someone was chasing you?
Нет, просто
No, it's
чтобы
just I was
мама не
hurrying back
волновалась,
home so
спешил
Mom
домой.
wouldn't be worried. As I looked at my sister, my heart was tearing apart. She was so fragile, and it was so easy to stifle her light. A gust of wind and her small fire would be gone.
Хорошо тебе.
You're lucky.
Я вот маму не
Mom
пускаю
won't
даже
ever
на
won't
крыльцо.
even let me go
Как
outside.
принцесса в
Like a
башне
princess
сижу.
in a tower,
Никуда
can't
не
go
могу,
anywhere.
умру тут от
I'll die from
скуки.
boredom here.
Не придумывай.
You're wrong.
От скуки еще никто
No one
не
ever
умирал.
died from boredom.
У тебя же есть я и
And
мультики,
you have
а
me and
мама
your
с папой скоро
cartoons, and Mom
помирятся.
and Dad will be good to each other soon.
Знаешь, что бы я загадала на
You know
следующий
what I
день
wish for
рождения?
for my next birthday?
Чтобы родители
I wish for
наших
Mom and Dad to
детей
turn into children
превратились.
so we could all
И мы
play
бы
together
все
like we
вместе
used to.
играли. Как
Ага. А если бы они
Yeah, if
стали
you make
размером
them
с
small
жука,
as
то мы бы
bugs,
их в
we can
спичечный
we
коробок
can place them
посадили.
into a little box. Olya giggled and tugged at my sleeve.
Тоша, пойдем Аладдина смотреть.
Alicia, let's go watch Aladdin. Fatigue won over my desire to be with my little sister. I was washed over by some sort of heinous empathy.
Вымотался я.
I'm too tired, I don't want to.
Ну пойдем.
Come on.
Мне скучно
It's so
одной.
boring
Мама
alone,
занята
and Mom's
всё
always
время.
busy.
Можно выбрать другой мультик,
We
который
can
ты
pick a
ещё не
cartoon you
видел.
haven't seen before.
Да я все наши
I know all of
кассеты
our tapes by heart at this
знаю.
point.
А вот и не все.
Not all of them.
Ты
You haven't
Питера
watched Peter
Пэна не
Pan.
помнишь? Ты уснул на середине.
Remember how you fell asleep in the middle of it?
Там потом такое.
And so much happens after that. Let's go, let's go.
Пойдем.
Давай попозже.
Maybe a little bit. Maybe a bit later.
Рассказать тебе, чем все
Can I tell you how it ends?
Утром расскажешь.
Let's leave that for tomorrow.
Утром не захочу.
I won't tell you tomorrow.
Придумала.
I know, let's play hide and seek.
Нет, Оль.
No, Olya.
Тогда
Then draw me a
нарисуй
dino.
динозавра.
Оля, блин.
Olya, please.
Нарисуй, нарисуй.
Draw it.
Да оставь ты меня в
Leave me
покое!
alone already. I blurted out without thinking. And then I was immediately taken aback. I never screamed at my little sister like that. Olya stared at me in shock. Her lips started to tremble. A precursor to tears. My chest was seething with disgust and embarrassment. What's happening to me? I hurried to prevent Olya from crying.
Ладно, уболтала.
Alright, you win. Let's go
Давай
watch
смотреть
cartoons
мультики.
for a bit.
Уже
I don't
не
wanna.
хочу.
I came up to her, put my hand on her soft head.
Идём.
Let's go.
Питера Пэна посмотрим.
Watch Peter Pan.
Ага, ты
Ooh,
опять
you'll fall
уснула.
asleep again. I smiled and lifted her chin. Her eyes were wet and felt bottomless.
Не усну, обещаю.
Promise I won't.
А потом я тебе целого
I'll draw you a
трицератопса
full
нарисую.
triceratops later. Hooray! Triceratops.
Ну, почти.
Oh, close enough. Olya rubbed her eyes with the sleeve of her pajamas, and a shining smile returned to her face.
Давай ты пока кассету
I'll ask Mom for
перемотаешь.
condensed
А
milk
я
and bread while
маму
you
попрошу
rewind the tape.
сгущенки с хлебом. Только утром
The bread is
свежевыжатый
fresh,
и
just like
любишь.
how you like it.
Неси, только аккуратнее.
Alright, just
а то
be careful not to
разольешь.
spill the milk,
Опять ругаться будут.
or you'll be yelled at again.
Спорим, не разолью.
Wanna bet I won't spill it?
Кассета где-то в
The
тумбочке.
tape is somewhere in the
Поищи пока.
nightstand, look for it. Olya disappeared into the doorway, and I dragged my feet into the neighboring room. The old photon TV was gathering dust in the corner. All that was left after clicking the button on the front panel. The tube warmed and was up with a familiar white noise that started dancing on the black screen. I almost reached out to turn on the VCR when the noise calmed down and a blurry image appeared for a moment. It was dark like the taiga forest, just like the one out my window. The picture split in half on the screen. Something creepy resembled human speech was coming out of the speaker. Just a few moments later, the scenery was again overshadowed by noise. Did it catch some rogue signal? Local TV station only really showed Soviet cartoons, and even that was pretty rare. And only just recently I used to watch Robotech before school. It was so awesome. Maybe I should tinker with the antenna if I can catch the channel. What if I can catch the channel again? On the other hand, Olya asked me to find the tape. It wouldn't be so nice to disappoint her. But in my sleepy state, I didn't have strength to do all of it. Oh wait, no, that chose it? The picture finally cleared up. Oops. Sorry, Olya. But the moment I rejoiced at finding the weird signal again, the TV started coughing. A voice barely coming through the cacophony. He was often seen at the moment when small snowy hills were lined up on the screen. Pierced with rickety crosses, and a male voice was narrating a slow, mournful voice. Ah. It was a pitch-black night at the cemetery. In fact, in that fateful dark time, little Sanya made her fate at the face of a monstrous thicket dweller. The locals call him none other than the Forest Master. I froze and did my best not to move, as if by doing that I could scare away the narrator. I listened closely to his every word. The beast dealt with helpless girl in a masterful manner. Camera panned across the snow, something black over it, looking for the ragged pieces of cloth that were thrown all over the place. I didn't want to think what Senya's remains were wrapped in. Eyes without thinking. The voice continued. Wolves are rare guests in these parts. Here's what Tamara, the old woman that lives in the nearby crypt, had to say. Close-up shot of an old homeless woman, weary from life and alcohol abuse, rattled on the screen. Yes, such a fearsome beastie it is, worse than the rising dead. The old woman spluttered saliva all over the rectangular mic. I think the stink? It's like the rest of her comparison was swallowed by the sound of a horn. I never felt anything like that. It was just standing there, yes, right where you stand, boyo, and pierced me with its eyes, right in the middle of the day. It was so huge, that one with glassy eyes. Obscenities were covered by another beep. You know, they say that this demon lays its eyes on you, it'll snatch you up and put you into its bed. You're done. But you won't touch me, hee. It likes me, it seems. So some even call me the devil's wench. Definitely true. The carnivorous monster will not touch those who fell to the level of the forest beasts, going for innocent children's blood instead. The forest master's presence is felt more and more on the outskirts of our country. Torn between believing what was said and shrugging away, I decided to record the remaining of the documentary for some reason. I quickly grabbed the tape that was on top of the TV and put it into the VCR without even looking at the cover. I pressed record, turned the sound up, and paid attention to the slipping signal. Not called the Forest Master for nothing. All of the animals obey it, be they hairy or feathery. They're all precursors for its appearance. If you hear howls in the distance, it's more likely it already knows where you live. If you find animal prints all over your doorstep, birds watching you from the tree, you better hide, it's already coming for you. If you wake up at night and see a pair of eyes in your window, soon. He suddenly went mad, looped over the last words, piercing my ears. I was out of it for a second there, oh my gosh. I got goosebumps all over my spine. The tape ended and was rewinding to the beginning. The sound of the rustling tape reminded me of the leaves in the wind and the howl of the beast. I woke up from my stupor and pressed the button. I ejected the record tape the moment I thought it was stained with saliva. Oh, shoot. But it was just the light from the chandelier making the plastic glossy. And then I saw the cover. Oops, I recorded it over Peter Pan. That's what I get for hurrying. It was bad enough that I ruined Olya's cartoon, but I also put creepy stuff over it. I can't let her see this. We'll drown in tears. I could hear clatter of glasses and squeaky floorboards. Olya appeared in the doorway. You haven't started it without me, have you? My sister brought the tray of unevenly cut bread and a whole can of condensed milk.
Нет.
No.
Я пока кассету ищу.
I was looking for the tape.
А ты точно хочешь?
Really want to watch Peter Pan?
Хочу.
I do!
Включай скорее.
Turn on already. Mom will come watch her Brazilian drama soon. Come on, think. Fake detective.
Честно, мне как-то Питер
You know,
Пан
I didn't
совсем
like
не
Peter
понравился.
Pan.
Может, лучше
Maybe we should
«Русалочку»?
watch The Little Mermaid instead?
Русалочку я
I've already
уже
seen it so many
посмотрела.
times.
А ты обещал.
You promised me. So stubborn.
Придумал. Давай сначала
I know,
пару
let's watch a
серий
couple of
«Черепашек
the
ниндзя».
Teenage
Согласна?
Ninja Turtles episodes first, deal? Olya frowned, but immediately gave up. She put down the tray and crossed her hands on her chest.
Если так
If you
сильно
want so
просишь,
much,
откроешь сгущенку.
you open the milk can. I'm afraid I can't open it. Oh, I'll cut myself with the sharp edges. As soon as I stood up, colorful dots popped up before my eyes. My sore legs were pierced by thousands of needles. Only when I reached for the sofa, I realized that the can was already open. Olya tricked me and played me for a fool. My stomach was heavy. I wanted to rush towards the TV, but my little sister was faster. She picked up the remote and proclaimed in a victorious tone, "Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha!
Владычица пульта
As the
приказывает
remote's
смотреть
master, I command you to watch Peter Pan." I couldn't even open my mouth as a VCR had already eaten the accursed tape. So play it, and then black crosses on unnamed graves, empty crypts, bloody scrapes in the snow, and the insane devil's wench. Better tell the truth.
Оля, стой!
Olya, stop.
Я тебе конец кассеты
I already
случайно
seen your tape
сделала.
by accident.
Отдай ее мне и возьми
I'll trade it with you
какой-нибудь
for 2 of
моей.
mine.
Ты чего?
What do you mean?
Не мог ты стереть? Мы с папой
Erase
всем
it.
кассетам
Me
зубики
and Dad had
пластмассовые
broken off those
выломали.
plastic pins with a
Отверткой.
screwdriver.
Теперь ни на один мой
Can't
мультфильм
record
ничего
anything over my
записать
cartoons
нельзя.
now. Little sister pressed the triangular play button on the remote. I squeezed on the inside, awaiting the out-of-this-world voice of the narrator. But I saw the duel between Peter Pan and Captain Hook instead. I sighed in relief. My head heavy as a laden ball, now rested in my hands. More water. Olya smiled in joy. Put the tape on rewind and started spreading milk over her bread. When the cartoon started, she forgot about everything in the world. Really as if she got transported to Neverland, like she always wished. To be honest, I also imagined myself there, in a land where no one ages, where no one argues over little things, where no one listens to fights and the sound of broken plates at night. Now Peter Pan's land was especially far away from me. My thoughts dragged on, stumbled upon the horned beast that awaited me among the trees. The narrator's mournful voice haunted me, sliding over branches and ravines. Like a winged carnivore would track its prey, it felt like I was dreaming with my eyes still open. Then my sister's scream pulled me back into reality. Tosha, shut the curtains fast!
Зачем?
Why?
Никто же на тебя не
No one's
смотрит.
watching you.
Уже темно.
It's dark, and when it's dark, the owl comes.
Я
I'm
боюсь.
scared. I got out of bed, frowning, fighting my drowsiness. I closed the curtains. I did my best not to look outside, towards the treetops, towards the taiga forest, which seemingly drew closer and closer. Of course, it was a visual effect from the shadows and branches scraping on the snow.
Тоша, мама думает, что я
Tosha,
придумала
Mom
сон.
thinks I made the owl up.
И папа считает,
And
что
Dad,
раз я
too,
маленькая,
thinks I'm a
то
liar
значит
since I'm
врушка.
small.
А сова есть.
But the owl exists.
Вот честная,
Honestly,
пречестная,
it
есть она.
does.
Ты же мне веришь,
You believe me,
что
right?
она там и
That
каждую
it comes
ночь
every night
приходит
and... Swiftly grabbed Olya's hands and looked her in the eyes. I was trying to transfer at least some of my courage and determination. But did I really have those
Я
qualities?
тебе верю, слышишь?
Yes, I believe you, alright?
Ты только родителям больше не
Don't nag our
рассказывай про
parents
сову.
about
У
it
них и так
anymore.
хлопот по горло.
They're already
Они
dealing
только
with a lot, so they'll
рассердятся.
just get mad at you.
Ты мне говори, если что
Come tell
случится.
me if anything happens.
И в окно не смотри.
And don't look out the window.
Но она хочет,
But
чтобы
it
я
wants me to
смотрела.
look.
Перехочет.
Doesn't matter.
Притворись, что ее нет и не
Act
было
like it doesn't
никогда.
exist
Что она
and never
выдумала, как
existed.
родители
Like
говорят.
it's made up, just like Mom and Dad say.
Ей ждать надоест,
They'll
она
get
улетит.
tired of waiting and fly away. Followed Peter Pan's adventures as if nothing happened, as if the forest didn't kidnap kids, as if our parents weren't tearing each other apart bit by bit. Captain Hook was running off with from a crocodile, and Peter Pan headed to London on a gilded sailboat. By some miracle, I lasted longer than my sister. Olya's eyelids had dropped. She started snorting slightly, resting her chin on the side of the bed. Chorus was singing the end song, and the world of Disney was lit up by a silvery moon. Another moon peeked from under the first one, scary and wan, hanging over the taiga forest. The horrific report got recorded right over the credits. My throat went dry, my pulse became faster. I looked toward Olya. Smacked her lips in her sleep. I squeezed the remote with all my might and pressed stop at any moment. I rewound the recording, checked if it was intact, and carefully took out the tape. The protective pin was still in place. Up and left Olya's room. Whether it was by providence or by curse, I hid the tape alongside the mitten the exact same moment my mom peeked into my room.
Довольно баловства.
No,
Завтра первый день в школе.
it's your first day of school
Ложись, тебе
tomorrow.
надо выспаться.
Go to bed. You should sleep properly.
Не хочешь же ты, чтобы тебя все дразнили?
You don't want to be
Соней?
teased for being sleepy, right? Adults think everything is so simple. As if sound sleep would assure my classmates would like me. I covered myself with a blanket up to my neck and listened to the house humming. Something invisible rustling in the corners. My inner voice had a question for me. Do I want to hear that mysterious flute again? No. Maybe it's just a part of growing up. I can't fully understand my own desires. The forest wailed behind the barrier that was my walls. Some ethereal entity wandered the fields. Branches shook as if calling for me. The wind howled on in the night. My thoughts were like annoying flies that entered my head before becoming weak and tangled. I didn't notice how I fell into slumber. The day I feared the most. The first day of a new school term. Okay. Well. I'm gonna save that there. Because an entire hour and a half of just reading has affected my throat a lot more than I thought it would. So we're gonna exit. There it is. Okay. Alright, so we're gonna be playing tomorrow with Back in Neko. We're gonna be continuing Labyrinth. Which is exciting because I've been having so much fun with it so far. And I can't wait to play it again. Anyways, I'm gonna get going now because I got some things to be doing. Bye bye!